Alright, just like the last one, we're going to continue exactly where we left off again, and we're going to do a little bit of changing. So this is going to be a little bit different in Visual Studio, which you might be on. So I'm in Development Editor. Yours would be up here kind of next to the Build button in Visual Studio. But I'm going to change mine down to the Debug Game Editor and let that do all of its stuff. Let it process everything. Yours may take a few minutes. If not, great. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place a breakpoint at line 182, where we should hopefully have all the information applied to that socket, or to that struct, and we're going to launch with the debugger. So I'll see you in a bit. Alrighty, once that's all compiled and you're back in the engine, let's go ahead and just hit play. So press B and F, and we should hopefully have hit the breakpoint. So let's find our instance socket right here. So we have our instance component. That is our foundation. That is correct. And let's see. Why can I not find the, whatever. We'll just go to the others. So we have also the socket information that holds the socket name and all that. So let's look at socket information. FPOS3 and socket in use is false. That is correct. Look at build index 0, that's correct. Sockets information, so the size of it is 8, which is correct because we have 8 sockets on our foundation. So that is good. So we have all of the names and their status. So that is fine and dandy. And we should be able to access that as well using our, instance socket. So instance socket check. Instance socket. Is instance socket check. Wait, am I not storing it? No, wait a minute. Now I'm confusing myself. We're accessing it by reference, so we should be good. So I think I'm just being stupid here. So if I go to instance socket check, we have 3 elements. Look for our foundation, which was the first one. And the information is empty, so we might have to skip down a line. Let's just go ahead and step over. Instance socket check. Instance socket information, that's good. We have 1. It has the information that we need. So we have the socket number 8. We have all of our sockets. Okay. So it is adding it correctly there. We just have the 1 element, which is perfectly fine. So there we go. Now let's go ahead and resume the program. I'm going to switch to the wall and place it at W position 0. All right, hit it again. I'm going to go ahead and step over one more time. And instance socket check, we have our first element. So this one's going to be our wall. Well, when we added the wall. So let's look at this. Okay, socket in use is showing true for all of these. That is not quite right. Yeah, so it should only be true for in use on a specific one. So let's just socket name is equal to because that should be realistically that should be false. I don't know why that's showing true unless I'm misinterpreting what is equal does. So let's go ahead and we will just simply hit continue. Okay, and I'm gonna actually I'll just place a breakpoint right here. And we want to go to replace is equal with, we'll just do the traditional equals operator, like so, and see if that resolves it. So remember, we got to do live coding. Alrighty, hit play, place it down. We're going to go ahead and hit continue. Continue, there we go. Had to iterate through the rest of them. Place down a wall. And let's look at it again. So B socket in use. Why are you all true? And we're actually adding, let's see, so index is equal to 0 as well. So that is another problem. So I need to double think of this. So I see a problem with what I'm doing. going to go ahead and hit continue, yada, yada, yada. Cancel out of that. Go back. Okay, so one problem. We are basically, once we find a match, we are automatically going in and doing the fun stuff. So I never thought to check about the index matching either. So that's clearly a problem. So this struct here contains, yeah, that does contain an index. So we need to kind of think about this a little bit differently. So let's start from the top and we'll just work our way down. So we're iterating through our instance socket check. That's fine. If the instance component equals the passed in component, that means we are good. We have what we want. From there, we need to also compare the indexes to, well, we need to find the index. So for example, if the index doesn't exist, we add it. If not, well, if it does exist, then we want to kind of overwrite or add some information into it. So to begin, we're going to work with the index. Okay, so for building socket data, we're going to do a check. So if instance socket dot instance socket information, that's the array. Crap, how am I going to get, I'm so flustered right now. My brain is not functioning as I wish it would right now. So we have if instance socket check. Okay, so we have the instance socket information that contains the index. So we want to iterate over that. So we want to do a loop until we find a matching one. Okay, so I got it. So we're going to do a for loop. So for what was it? F instance socket check. Or no, F build index sockets. We're going to do by reference again. Index sockets in instance socket check dot what was it? No, it's the instance socket, duh. Can I type? There we go. Instance socket, this guy right here. Instance socket information. And here we can do our comparison. So if index sockets dot index equals building data or building socket data dot index, then we have a matching index and we can break out of the loop. So bool be found matching index, and by default we're going to set that to false, and then in here we want to set it to true. So we're going to be iterating through the our index, like all of our indexes that we would have stored inside of the index socket array. In which case, we will then go through and check if the index matches the passed in index. So we have the component, and then we have the index that we want to work on. So we can also store that index, although I don't know if it's really going to be needed. Yeah, because we already have access to it, so I don't need to store it anywhere. I don't know why I'm thinking that. So after that, we can do a check. So if be found matching index, we can do something. Otherwise, we can do something else. So let's see. If we have, let's just start with we have found a matching index, because that's what's most likely going to be triggered at least first. So I'm going to print out a log and just check it. So found matching index. And we can print out the index if we want. I'm not going to actually bother because I already know it's going to be 0. And then I want to comment all that out just for the time being. Okay. So print you out. Did not find matching index. So let's see how this goes. This should tell us whether or not we have, well, obviously found it. All right, let's bring back our log here. Place it down. Did not find matching. That is correct. Place on a wall. Did not find matching. That is incorrect. And that is because I'm an idiot and I forgot to re-add. We actually do need to add this crap back. So that's my own stupidity there. So we just gotta uncomment it. Okay, temp 2. Did not find, correct. And found, which is correct. Found, which is correct. Do a ceiling. Did not find, which is correct because it just created it. And if I place it there again, we found it. Place it here. Did not find it, which is correct. Place it again. We found it. Okay, so that is correct. So this we know is working, and we just got to kind of figure out a way to work, I guess, kind of between it, or figure out what to do for each situation. So if we did not find a matching index, well, we have all this stuff. That's kind of what we want to do. So we want to get that information. So for now, we move it in here. But if we do find it, well, we got to do some more stuff. We got to kind of update which socket is actually being used. So we want to iterate through the one that has the corresponding index to, well, set the sockets. So we have the index sockets. So let's actually store that so we can use that kind of as a kind of like a judgment. So f build index sockets, or let's just call it in use index sockets, or yeah, sockets. And we'll store it in there. We can't do that, can we? So b found matching index is true, and we'll just actually set it to equal index sockets. Okay, so that way we kind of know, and then we can go through. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself, because I want to get it by, I think, does this create a copy? Okay, so I know this is getting the address of, so that's going to be altering it, and that's what I want. I think instead of doing the Boolean check here, I'm instead going to have that logic in here. So when it does find it, we update it in here since we're already actually on it. So f build index sockets, is that the one I think it is? Yes, index and all the socket information. Okay, so we're going to try to update it in here. So we have index sockets, and here we have the array of all of our sockets. So what we want to do is we want to iterate through all this and compare it until we find one that matches building socket data. So I want to change this to b found matching index and move this code into it. So that way I can also remove the else statement like that, just to clean it up some. Okay, so we want to iterate through all the sockets. We have for loop. We want to do, let's see. We want it to be in the index sockets dot socket information, which is of the type f socket information. So const, or no, not going to be a constant because we're going to change it. So f socket information, socket information. Now we have that, we can do a check. So if socket information dot socket name equals building socket data dot socket name. All right, we got to do a dot to string. Then we want to set socket information dot socket in use to equal true. And then because it's only going to be one socket, we break out of the for loop and break out of the for loop. Then we do our check here. So this should not run if that is true. So let's do a test here. So setting socket %s to true. And we're going to print out socket information dot socket name. And that should hopefully give us a strong indication as to what is going on. Place it down. Did not find matching. That is correct. Setting socket W position 0 to true. That is good. Setting position 2 to true. That is also good. And this should be did not find. That is good. Go back to there. Okay. So we may have a problem there. We just got to kind of see. I guess the easiest way to set that up is to make use of it. So that's going to be in our filtering. So where we have our isValidSocket function, with the hit component and the socket name and all that fun stuff, we can do a check. So this is where we're going to kind of iterate through and see if the socket is in use. So if we got to make sure it even contains it first, then we want to make sure that none of the sockets are actually in use. So we want to iterate through it. So for, what was it called? Instance socket check. Or what was the type? F instance socket check. So for const F instance socket check, instance socket check in instance sockets check. Okay, so here we want to do basically iterate through the, let's see, so we have the component. We don't have the index, so isValidSocket gets called from here. We do get the index. We want to check, we want to pass into isValidSocket the index as well. Let's go ahead and do that. So after hit component, let's do int 32 index. Add that in as the parameter, and then where we call it, let's pass in it index. Okay, so now we have our index. So now that we have this, we want to check if instance socket check dot instance component equals it component. If that is the case, we want to do, well, dig a little bit deeper. So we want to iterate through the other part. So for, and the other part is the F build data index sockets. So let's make this a constant as well. We're not changing anything. Build index sockets in instance socket check dot instance socket information. And here we can do build index sockets, and we can get the index. So we want to do a check there. So if build index sockets dot index equals index, then we can get into the actual names into our comparison to see if any of them equal the socket name that we were passing in. So here we want to do a check again. So for, yeah, I know we're really nesting for loops, but the thing is, we're going to have very few elements here. Then we're going to have, at most, I'd say probably 8. I can't imagine there would be any more. And that is for something like a foundation, which has points for found even more to just to, be. Most are probably going to have between 2 and 4 at the most. And heck, our walls only have 1. So it's not a big deal. Okay. So if our index is equal to the passed in index, we want to run another for loop to iterate through the sockets in there. So that's going to be the F socket information. So const F socket information in build index sockets dot sockets information, and if socket information dot socket, let's see, socket name equals the passed in socket name dot toString. Oops. And if it is in use. So if socket information dot socket name, or sorry, not socket name, socket in use, we want to set B success to equal false and break. Realistically, we could just return false, but meh. Okay, close out the editor and recompile. Okay, now let's see what problems come up. So we drop the foundation. We drop down a wall at position 0. And now we can no longer select it at position 0. Position 2. Okay, that gets rid of that. That is good. I feel like this is where stuff's going to start breaking down. That worked there. Okay, so we're going to have some problems with things like that I could see being an issue. So it's kind of duping it into there. But that is so far working. Let's place this guy down. Let's close that off. That closes down from that one. That one. That one. And that one. And that guy there. So we have no more that we can place. We can only place for up here. Let me actually drop down a foundation real quick. All right, I can't place that. Okay, so we can place down more walls up here. That gets rid of that. Or did it? So let's check on this corner. All right, so that gets rid of both of those. That's for that one. That's for this one. Okay. We are so far. Is there any more that I can see? Not really. We're so far off to a decent start. So I selected, we should have, dang it, didn't mean to jump off. So why is that one off center? I may have to adjust some of the sockets. I might have got them a little bit messed up. I'm going to do a quick test real quick, strictly with those. Jump up there. No, I cannot. Okay, wall position 1. Okay, so for some reason that hides the option for wall position 2. And why does it push it off to the side? So let's check wall position 1 on our ceiling. Yep. So that is wall position 1. We want to go over by 10. Save it and see if that may have been why. Ceiling. Oops. Add our foundation. So wall position 1. Yeah, so it just kind of gets rid of, for some reason it's hiding, I can't tell, the remainder. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to check. So what we can do is just Shift F1, and I am not running as a debugger. Dang nabbit. All right, real quickly, we're going to try to debug this a bit. So let's launch it with the debugger. Alrighty, then we are going to go ahead and build it like we had it. Actually, I really don't need that wall there. Let me place that down. Jump up. So position 1. So let's actually, we should be creating a new one. So I think we're still printing out logs, are we? We did, so this should be a new one. Did not find index. Whoops. Did not find index. So now we should have it. So let's check the debugger. Debug game, yeah. Wait a minute. What was the view here for? Oh, right, I never hit a breakpoint. We'll just place one. There's this valid socket. We'll just do it at the end. We'll do it right before we hit the switch. That'll be fine. Okay, so place this guy down. There we hit it. So let's find this. Our instance sockets check. Find our ceiling, which is this guy. And our instance socket information. And our sockets. So for some reason, all these are being set to true. they should not be being set to true. So my guess is, for some reason, 2 of them are. So I'm going to just confirm that really quickly. So let's just add a simple foundation, wall, ceiling. Let's jump up there. Oops. And place it for position 1. God dang nabbit, I forgot to place breakpoint back down. Getting a little late. That's going to be my excuse. Alright, so let's place down a breakpoint first. And place down the wall. Okay, so yeah, it's setting... Why is it doing that? It's setting them all to true except for 1. Because that should really not be happening. So just in case, I'm going to look down here, make sure all these are still good. So those still have their positions. That's taken away, that is correct. So that is a little bizarre. So I guess that means we gotta look through some stuff. So anyways, this one has been 26 minutes so far of just recording. So I figured I might as well, actually might call it a night. I don't know if I want to work on this anymore tonight because I'm getting a little bit tired and I've been doing this crap all day. Anyways, that's going to be all for this video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon down in the description below, where I have a team deathmatch series just for Patrons, as well as you get early access to nearly all of my videos, such as this one. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord that's also linked down below, and I'll try to help you out. So, I'll see you in the next video.